Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating narrative case study all about social development, right here in the United States. We're looking at how one tiny, almost invisible spark in a small American town snowballed into a roaring fire of positive change. If you've ever found yourself wondering how those massive, large-scale societal shifts actually get their start, well, you're absolutely going to love this. So we really have to kick things off with a big, almost philosophical question. Can one single person actually change an entire society? I know, it sounds kind of cliche, right? It's the stuff of movies and novels. In the real world of community development, it usually feels like we need these massive government interventions or, billion-dollar foundations just to move the needle an inch. But as you'll see in this case study, a micro-action, something that went completely unnoticed at first, can actually trigger a massive, measurable ripple effect across society. Section 1. Beautiful town, hidden problem. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture a really gorgeous American town. We're talking tree-lined streets, super friendly neighbors, a place that just looks picture-perfect on the surface. But beneath that idyllic exterior, there was this really stark contrast. Kids from poorer families were entirely cut off from quality education. They were literally dropping out of school. And here's the kicker. They weren't dropping out because they didn't want to learn. They were forced out simply because they didn't have basic learning materials. They didn't even have access to books. It's a heartbreaking bottleneck in social development, All that potential just lost, simply due to a lack of basic physical resources. Section 2, a small idea. Every movement needs a spark. And in our story, that spark was a 16-year-old high school student named Emily. One day, she's just walking through her local library, and she notices hundreds of old books just gathering dust. Unused, forgotten, essentially useless, just sitting there. But Emily had this immediate, powerful realization. She thought, if these books reach needy children, their lives could change. That one single thought became the genesis of what she'd later call the Books for Every Child campaign. She saw a totally wasted resource and connected it directly to that hidden problem in her town. Emily and her friends literally just started going door to door. I mean, they didn't have venture capital backing them. They didn't launch some massive viral social media campaign. They walked right up to people's front doors asking for old books, notebooks, and school bags. And honestly, their initial reach was incredibly small. They were only able to help 20 children at first. Now, helping 20 kids is fantastic, but in the grand scheme of massive societal change, it's a micro-action. But stick with me here, because this is exactly where the momentum begins to shift. Section 3. The power of community. Right, so this is where we level up from an individual's micro-effort to a much bigger meso-level community impact. This is the sweet spot where the magic of social development really takes off, when one person's passion completely ignites the broader community. Look at how this initiative naturally evolved. Step 1 was just grabbing those dusty library books. Step 2, that expanded to going door to door for bags and essential supplies. But step 3, that's the real breakthrough. They evolved from a simple donation drive into building actual educational infrastructure. Emily and her friends started hosting free weekend tutoring sessions, bringing in local college students to teach the younger kids. They literally built a bridge between the physical resources they found and the actual learning these children desperately needed. The way this momentum compounded is just incredible. Within a few short months, the entire city got involved. It wasn't just a bunch of teenagers anymore. Local schools started actively collaborating. Professional teachers and adult volunteers stepped up to help out. The scale shifted completely, and before long, hundreds of children were getting books every single week. And the results? Absolutely staggering. The kids' test scores shot way up. But even better than that, for the very first time, these kids actually started to dream about their futures. They could finally see a path forward that didn't just end with dropping out. Section 4, Jack's success. To really ground all these amazing compounding numbers in some tangible proof, let's walk through the timeline of a boy named Jack. He really represents the ultimate return on investment when it comes to social development. So, at time 1, Jack was right there on the edge. He was fully at risk of dropping out of school. At time 2, Emily's campaign reaches him. He gets books, he gets guidance, and crucially, he stays in school. Now, fast forward to time 3. Jack doesn't just graduate. He actually goes on to become an engineer. And here's the absolute best part. Time 4. Jack eventually returns to his community and opens a smart learning center, using new technology to help the next generation of kids in that very same town. Emily's tiny spark didn't just save Jack, it created an entirely new leader who multiplied that impact all over again. Section 5, the start of real change. And this brings us to the macro level impact, which is really the ultimate takeaway of this whole case study. Emily's small effort absolutely did not stay confined to her pretty little town. Her project became this massive beacon of inspiration. Neighboring cities started seeing this incredible community involvement and hearing success stories like Jack's, and they basically just adopted the exact same model. The impact multiplied exponentially, transforming not just dozens or hundreds, but literally thousands of lives across multiple cities. The source text gives us this incredibly powerful takeaway, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim because it hits the nail right on the head. It's the core thesis of everything we've talked about today. Quote, "Social development is not just the government's responsibility. When a common citizen takes a small step for the betterment of society, that same step can illuminate the future of millions." End quote. Just think about that for a second. We are so used to outsourcing our civic duties to big institutions, but this is proof that the power to kickstart real, lasting development belongs directly to us, the citizens. Because as this whole story completely proves, the true strength of a nation isn't just built on massive skyscrapers or having the most cutting-edge technology. The actual foundation rests on 3 core pillars: education, equal opportunities for every single child no matter their background, and working together collaboratively as a community to fill in the gaps that the system inevitably misses. It's all about everyday people just stepping forward. We've just seen how a 16-year-old girl looking at a pile of dusty books sparked a movement that changed thousands of lives and literally built new educational centers. So I want to leave you with one final, very real question today. Look around your own community. Look at the resources just gathering dust. Look for those hidden problems. When are you going to take that small step for your society? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparked an idea for you today. See you next time.